Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the second season of Masterclass. I'm John Tenaglia. Today, we have a second timer, a phenomenal mezzo soprano, Shanley Horvitz. She'll be accompanied by Maestro Hugh Cronroad. Her panelists are Maestro Barbara Dever, Maestro John Packard, and Maestra Lisa Hara da Cavo. Please sit back and enjoy the live singing.
Suo
Wow. Okay. Wow. That is something. I have to say that that is probably one of the most impressive performances we've had here on Masterclass. Congratulations. You know, I'm a huge fan of your voice to begin with. I apologize for all the technical issues that we're having. But I'd like to start the conversation with somebody who's done this role many times.
Well, this is a scena, a gran scena, right? So even though the audio was broken up, I could still sense at times, and first of all, it was wonderful. I'm picking on you. It has to go from somewhere to somewhere. It seemed to me like you were kind of already there at the end when you first started. So what is the difference between the end and the beginning? Okay, well, the first thing is with desperation, right? The first thing, when you Pedro, and at the end, where is it? I was reading it. It just needs to go. You have to have the feeling that she's made up her mind and she's going. Whereas in the beginning, it's desperate, but it's like, I'm going to stay here for a minute and say what I have to say, right? Oh, and first of all, what I wanted to say that really impresses me, even though we were having still difficulties, is you sing most of the time right on the pitch. There's not a lot of this bloop, bloop stuff. And that will really help you, especially with Italian conductors. They don't want any of that. No slurping, no sliding, unless you decide that's what you're going to do. Just keep that in mind when you're working. And you're going to be working where? Where is it? Where will you be doing Anacawana? Where?
Yes, I'll be doing Columbus with Colombo with Teatro Grattacielo in New York.
Oh, in New York. Oh, I thought you were doing it in Italy. Okay. The wonderful thing about Verdi is he has all of these markings, and you have to figure out why they're written. He said, you have before you get to the piumoso, there are markings that, what does that mean, having an accent with a slur mark, and then the next one doesn't have anything on it, and then the following note has a staccato. You have to figure out what that means. And that will help you with a little bit more with the expression, because that's really the only thing that's lacking in this piece, as far as I'm concerned. The sound is there. It sounds wonderful. It's just that it needs a little more of that gran scena, not just forte all the time. It's pretty much forte all the time, and it's wonderful. But after a time, everybody, no matter the size of the voice, you get to the point where you don't listen anymore. Hold the people in. And you have a moment that you can do that. There's actually a pianissimo moment. Am I right? Isn't there? I can't find it.
Oh, mia regina.
Thank you.
And Celle Carlo, that business too.
Oh, that especially. That's what I was thinking of. Is that you need to go back, restrain yourself for a moment, and really, honestly, when you sing piano in a house, especially a house full of people who know what they're listening to, forte does not bring them in. Forte excites, but it doesn't bring them in. So bring them in first, and then hit them with the forte. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, John. Excellent. Can we go to Lisa, please?
That was really beautiful. You have an incredible voice. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I wrote down great voice, wonderful low register, nice legato. So those are all your really fabulous positives. And I don't have any negatives really. That's really a good performance. I did want to ask you about a couple things. There's a place it's in the O Mia Regina section. And it's the second time you say O Mia Regina solo in un chiostro, blah, blah, blah. Did you have your choice of breathing in there? Was that on purpose? It seemed kind of weird to me.
So no, that was an odd one. Usually, I do not have a breath within there, but for some reason, I just need to have onto it. And I usually can power through without that last phrase because I like to keep it a little bit more with the dynamics too, like very open and raw. But I usually have definitely a rubato where I go a little bit slower than right into it.
Okay.
But I did not discuss that, and I didn't portray that at all. I think with my own breath. So.
Okay, so that was the only. That's what I thought. I've never coached this piece. I've coached a lot of stuff, but I've never coached this one. But I've clearly worked on it because I have markings all over my score. So okay, that's what I thought. And the only other thing I wrote is a really picky diction thing, and I really like to use these. Do you know what phrasal doubling is? When you have a very small word, phrasal doubling. When you have a very small word like o or and the next word begins with a consonant. You don't do it all of the time, but I thought at Ocel e Carlo, it might be a nice place to do it. So what you do is you actually double the C of Carlo after the small word a. Barbara's nodding, so yeah. I mean, it's a kind of it's a sort of a high-end diction thing, I guess you could call it. But I think it would work, especially since you're saying that the name of the man, he's the guy you love, right? So it would make sense to do it there. Other than that, I didn't really have anything else. I thought it was really good. I mean, the technical problems were a little bit daunting, and you did a great job considering all of that. So nice work.
Thank you, Lisa, as usual. Okay, now this person actually did do the role, other than John. So, Barbara, please.
Okay. Hi, Shanley. Great job. I wonder if she could come a little closer to the mic. I can't hear her when she's responding as well as.
Okay.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Great. So I found lots of things to say to you in terms of like giving you some of the inside things that I definitely learned about this role, performing it, all over the world. There are some vocal things, there are some diction things, but there are definitely musical things that could serve you better. I just wish that, we could find a time maybe to actually get together and peruse it. Have such, yeah, well, we'll see what we can work out. I don't ever want to step on anybody's toes if you have your team in place, but I learned a lot from the Met coaches as that was the first time I performed the role, was at the Met. And I learned a lot along the way, especially in Italy, about what they expect, from a Verdi singer. And you are a Verdi voice, and that's a great, great thing. So my many compliments to you about that. I think that you are having this wonderfully great instrument that is a big voice, like we say, it's a dramatic voice. Learning to finesse at certain times, like John said, will be so much in your favor, especially if you sing this for Italians, or you try to, audition for a place where the conductor is going to be Italian. The scene that precedes this, it all comes down to like a breakdown, right? And then this explosion, più non vedrò. If that could be coming really out of a place in you where it's not like, now I'm going to get my voice on a G flat and get ready for, but just like desperation, take a breath and just, give it like, For me, your Italian many times is a little too covered. And people that have big voices like yours, in my experience, when you cover too much, you're going to get tired, and you're also not going to impress the, the Italian vocenistas. Okay, they're going to love it if you can finesse a slightly brighter ah vowel. And your O vowel is Americanized a little bit too, in that it's very dark sometimes, and unnecessarily so. You may find it's a little bit easier and more of a different dynamic if you just can balance that vowel a little differently. I'm not asking you to sing bright all the time. I'm just saying search for a balance in the chiaroscuro, okay? O Don Fatale. Verdi writes it pretty direct, he doesn't say, okay, show me your E flat like, oh, he says, O Don Fatale, O Don Fatale. You're going towards Fatale. So don't set up too much. You've been, in the scene, when you're in the opera, you've been singing it, and don't sit on those notes, okay? I could say so many little things, but I'm going to say the next big thing that came up was after Ti maledico, mia belta, brum. Wait, take a breath. Versar, versar, so posso il pianto. And go ahead and move the way you would emotionally. Don't carry too much weight in your voice at the più mosso. This is like Verdi gave you a little gift to travel a little bit, lighten the load a little bit. Like John Packard said, that dot on the second ver, you have versar, versar. It's an emotional, that little staccato. Versar, versar, so posso il pianto. Keep those lines moving. Speme non ho soffrir, dovrò instead of dovrò. You don't have to do that. Your voice will be so gorgeous, just not overweighting it. Il mio diletto, even if we hear a little separation, it's fine there. Il mio diletto è tanto, okay? Let's hear those double R's. È orribile tanto. It's just orribile. Che cancellar mai non potrò. Now, when you set up here, ti maledico, breathe. Ti maledico, o mia vata. Ah, ti maledico. I think Verdi meant for there to be, sorry, I'm falling on my piano keys here. I think Verdi meant for a breath after that, O mia belta, ah, ti maledico. Even if you can't hold it as long as you might want to, take a breath and make an impact on the building up of the emotion. Ti maledico, o mia belta. Notice that Verdi writes the fermata on the O, because that's the note that's in that funky little place. And you do very well, for the most part, extremely well, with the mix in the lower tessitura. There were a couple of times where I wanted you to back off and not put as much pressure, because you will be heard, Do you mind if I that reminds me of something. At the very beginning when you sang, più non vedrò, più non vedrò la re. That kind of went back. You went, più mai non vedrò la re. Can you keep it going out like that? Più mai non vedrò la regina. Don't tuck when you're going to use your mixed voice down there. Maybe I'm saying too much. I'm hoping we can get together and talk about all of these things. The triplets, the Italian conductors, they look for those triplets. When you get to dovrò celar, they're really going to want the triplets. It's something you have to work on, and you can do it. I agree with Lisa. That little breath, the non-breath that you did, "O mia regina," so, and then do your little anticipatory note. Take the breath, and then re-enter. I'm sure you've practiced that. Okay. Oime, oime. These are emotional things. You know, you don't have to deliver it like oime, oime, just oime, oime. She's gonna break down maybe, but she doesn't, right? O mia regina. And then this wonderful place when you get to O ciel, e Carlo, e Carlo. Just what Lisa said. Use that double kind of sound. O ciel, e Carlo. And usually it's nice if you have a break between O ciel e Carlo. A morte. Domani. Grandio. A morte andar vedrò. So each one of those softer building, she's saying, I can do it. He's going to die. He's not going to die. It's not going to happen. I'm going to do it. So these little tiny statements are what gets her to, undi mi resta, right? There's emotional stuff in here, and there's also lots of vocal things that I'd love to show you sometimes. Sometime. When you get to La Speme Maride, go ahead and use a double R to get you into that beautiful position for the F natural. Don't carry too much weight up. You have enough beautiful sound in your voice. You don't have to build more weight into it. La Speme Maride. Put the weight there. You know, La Speme Maride. And if you do that on the F, it's going to set you up for, and everybody sings ah in Italy. Ah, benedetto il ciel, benedetto il ciel, lo salverò. So here she's forte, but it's not the same kind of forte when you're in that tessitura. Okay? So don't worry about carrying the weight, because guess what? When you do this with orchestra, and I know that you will, you'll find that it's the triplets in the orchestra are not as heavy as the percussiveness that you'll hear in the piano. So this is something between, you know, knowing how it feels with an orchestra opposed to how it feels with the piano, and you can just sing it like you're singing it with the orchestra every time you do it for an audition with the pianist. And there are choices for the ending, you know. Si lo salverò. Is one choice that I think might work really well for you, so that you don't get into that cupo feeling. How? Let me just ask you, how is the veil song for you?
It's really within the last, I've been studying Eboli for about 2 years now, and it used to be such a switch and everything. Now that I have a more of a connection, understanding the primo passaggio and understanding how to move it and everything, it's actually been like within the last month with the teacher. I studied Jennifer Rowley. And
Great.
I've really been able to understand getting the tessitura and understanding just the misto. But understanding that primo passaggio to connecting to it and then going back down and living down there.
Yeah, see what you just did was very covered. Ah, or wah. That's if you allow it to loosen a little bit. Let's just say loosen a little bit. You know, I always talk about there's like a gauge here, like your gas in your car, the old-fashioned ones anyway. So here's a like, ah. Here's ah, and there's ah. If you can learn how to sing your ah right here, ah. That was always the part for me that was like very scary. But talk to Jennifer about that balancing so that it's not, when we hear Shirley Verrett and Grace Bumbry, they had African American voices, and so they were naturally darker. I just would love to hear you sing with a little less of that darkness, and see if you like it. You're young, you're beautiful, and you don't want to over darken your voice before it's before your prime, and you've been out there singing and doing glorious things. Okay? Great job. Wonderful, wonderful voice.
A lot of stuff that I really appreciated.
Thank you. Thank you again. Wow, that was a lesson in itself.
I said too much, I know, but
No, I disagree. If you have a chance to work with Barbara Dever on this, man, go for it. She's the queen.
and just not to say anything except ask Jennifer if that's okay if we just kind of do a coaching.
Oh, Jennifer's super open, and I tell her everything.
Yeah,
She encourages me to do this.
she knows me. Yeah.
It's one of the reasons why I stay with her, because she's not territorial type. She wants us to go where I go back to her for some of when I go back to her when I need her, but she understands that. So
Yeah. There's also a history with this role, that Verdi was commissioned by the Paris Opera House to write Don Carlo. And it was written originally in French, which is going to be presented by the Met this year in French. And the voices needed for that were different than the voices that evolved into the Italian version. Voices were slightly different. But Verdi started to scribe the role of Eboli much differently, thinking that he had a mezzo. And he actually wrote the Veil song in the key of G maggiore, not A. And that is so different for a mezzo to sing that cadenza, and it sounds much more Moorish and the character of Eboli. What happened was Paris intendant wrote to Verdi in the middle of his composition and said, "I'm sorry, I have two soprani that I have to service for the premiere, so please adjust the role." But Verdi never changed the fact that he wanted a mezzo to sing it. Marilyn Horne tried to petition James Levine to go with an original version of the Veil song, but alas, it never worked. And so mezzos throughout, really who are not really able to kind of live in that sufficient area, they struggle with the Veil song a little bit. And O Don Fatale is, usually the bite that is much more easy. Yeah.
For me, luckily enough, it doesn't. I know the exact part that every mezzo fears. For me, it's actually getting back down there, from there. Because if I have the big, strong foundation in the bottom, I can get up there. But if I don't understand the bottom, it sets off the top.
Yeah. Well, everything is connected, top to bottom. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's great. Okay. All right. Hopefully we'll talk more about it, and I'll give you everything I know.
Thank you again, Barbara. I'm telling you, there was a voice. I'm sitting here loving it. Okay, gorgeous. What can we do? What would you like to sing something else for us?
I have some food stuff. I
Okay.
also brought along,
Okay. Let's take a consensus. I'll sit and listen to you all day long. What would you guys like to hear?
What do you take out most to auditions?
some food stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say probably that's a great one for you to take out. So I would love to hear that.
Okay. Why
That's
don't
fine
you
with
take a
me.
couple seconds?
I was a
Brava, my goodness, wow. Listen, I'd pay to hear that any day. And unfortunately, we don't hear that today, but we did today. Okay, can we go in reverse order and can we start with the maestra? Please, Barbara Dever.
Okay, wonderful, beautiful, just beautiful. There's a quality that you used in this that I would like to hear in the eboli. All right, do you know kind of what I'm talking about?
I completely understand. You know, ebony to me is.
Say that again, Shanley, about your the characters.
Yeah, so I understand Santuzza. I feel a really good understanding of her, and I feel that a little bit of a disconnect towards understanding Emily because I think Emily is such a regalness to her that is a little hard to understand and to relate to. So for that, but I feel, and I also feel a lot more connection towards Mascagni, and I feel really at home in his music. Where
Great.
I've just felt a little more. I understand that. I understand.
Okay. Well, don't overthink Emily. Now that I hear you kind of talking back to her as a character, she's a political pawn, you know, in the whole setting there, in that royalty setup. But don't overcomplicate her, you know. And if and when we get together, we'll talk about that. The way you sing Santuzza tells me that you have an easier time with her, but you know she's pretty complex too, in the verismo way.
Yeah.
Yes. So things that I wrote down, and I'm not going to say as much to take up the time, but you know, more semplice at the beginning. Voi lo sapete, oh mamma. You know, she's not sure she wants to tell Mama Lucia everything. She's going in like this, you know. Like, okay, I think I've decided I've got to tell her about her son, that he's an asshole, even though, you know, the mamas adore the boys, okay? So just give us your first V, you know, to set up how you want to intend to say, Voi lo sapete, oh drama. Save more drama in your voice for a little bit later. Prima d'andar soldato, turidu. You've got to learn how to say turidu with the double D. Turidu aveva Lola. So I would flip the R, turidu, and go ahead and learn how to sing his name, like that. Turidu, turidu. I can't sing anymore. I'm too old, but that could be a little bit more stylistic for the verismo, okay? Giurato, where is that coming up? La seppe sposa e con nuovo amore vuole spegne la fiamma. Two M's. Mamo, the M on amo, not as much, right? Mamo, oh, we just want to hear that beautiful legato connection between the vowels, not mamo. Not necessary. Nico Castell at the Met, God rest his soul, he would constantly say, I don't need it, I don't want to hear it, and he was the best. La mai, not la mai. Don't punch those in any way. La mai, e. La mai. When you decide to go after you hold. La mai. Find a way to make it, real organic in the way that you do it. You changed your face before the change in the music for the snaky part. Okay, so let that all settle, da 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 da. There's no change until di da 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 quell'invida d'ogni delizia mia. Like, how dare she? Like, now you're not afraid of Mama Lucia. You're like all in. I'm going to tell you everything. It was horrible, right? Del suo sposo dimentica. You need to listen to some Sicilian speakers and singers. This could be all a little bit more bitey. Del suo sposo dimentica. Arse di gelosia. Arse di gelosia. And then the beauty of what you did on Me la rapito was beautiful. When you do these lower ones, notice that the orchestra has the accents, not the singer. There's a very interesting thing that you can do. You ride the fact that they accent. Melara. If you keep the legato and do that little cry, but not Melara, because that changes everything. Keep the legato behind the sound. Rapido. Good. Your if you could do the PR before the actual downbeat. So when you feel the rhythm of here we are. And then, and if we hear the E on the downbeat, it's going to be so much more gorgeous and elegant. Dell'onor mio rimango. Don't get too angry in here. Just sing beautiful. Like you're when you sang dell'onor mio rimango, you got a little I don't know, I think overjuiced. Like, just sing those beautiful lines. Priva dell'onor mio rimango. It's like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm telling you, but it happened. Lolai toridu samano. Lolai toridu samano. Each one of those has to build. And when you get to work with an accompanist, it can have a little bit of, each one can have a little bit of animando and a little bit of tiny accel. And then look at the way it's written. Bianco. Now there's a fermata over the G rather than the A. Make a musical choice to not be the one that says, I'm going to hold the A to impress you. because you want to impress those that are in the knowledge of this verismo and this piece in particular. I got to sing with a great conductor in Italy, and I did the Principessa, the Acerba Voluta, with this conductor. His last name was Arena, and he was so knowledgeable. He was very old when I worked with him, but he knew some of these people that had worked directly with these composers, and he gave me lots of good information about this. And he said, if you really look at and do what's in the music, you will be more successful, and the verismo style will be more true to its calling. So that show us your A, and maybe a breath. Piango, io piango. And I loved your ending, except it's great. You don't have to do up the, the portamento up to the A. You can stay on that F sharp. Io piango instead of piango. That's kind of a collapsing vowel, okay?
Get that, okay.
Yeah. And verismo singers sing like that, Go listen to Stignani and Barbieri. And they were the closer ones, that lived in that time of Mascagni, and so they know it's a special sound, and I know you can do it from what I hear in your voice. Brava.
Thank you.
Thank you again, Barbara. Okay, can we go to Maestra Lisa, please?
Barbara, thank you for those great comments. I agree with everything you said. That was beautiful. Such a great piece. I'm probably going to be the only one that's going to bring this up. I actually think that Santuzza is a soprano role. However, the way you sang it was so gorgeous that it's certainly arguable. The only reason I don't like a soprano as a mezzo singing it is because there's a lot of mezzos already in the piece. However, you really did a great job, so you kind of sold me on it. And while Barbara was talking, I was actually checking. I have two different scores of this. One, the dreaded Schirmer score, but I also have the Sonsonio score. And they do both say soprano, but whatever. That's an opinion. But you did a terrific job. Be careful at the beginning. It sounded like you did two T's in sapete, like a double T in sapete. Just be careful that it's voilo sapete oma. Very, very legato, very smooth. And generally, you have lovely legato line. I really love it. Be careful that when you do, I agree with Barbara too on the turido. It's kind of a hard name to pronounce, but when you do turido avevalo, really love those triplets a little bit more. And I think was it Barbara you mentioned about the triplets and the Italian conductors and all that? I think that's also really important right there on aveva. Then there's this, I think you wanted to talk about this, Barbara, where she says avevalo la eterna fe giuro. Almost everybody has to breathe before giurato, right? Because there's kind of no other way to do it. So I just wanted to say I loved the way you did it, Shanley, because it's really a long phrase and it's impossible to do without the breath. But you did it very convincingly. So I liked what you did. All right, so I have a question for you about when the first time she does the high note after she says mamo lamai. Lamai. Okay, so isn't it a bit of a happier memory for her? Or is it a bad memory?
No, it's remembering when he loved her. It's
right.
Together. It's when they were physical together. And her reminding that, and I think it also, she gets so mad at the end because of her stupidity of it.
Okay, so my question is that, I mean, it's about their sexual experience. I mean, I know that it's implied, I guess, that she's pregnant, although whether you think she is or not, it doesn't really matter whether she is or not. What matters is that she has had sex with this guy and they're not married to each other. This is a big deal in Sicily. at least at this time. Probably, maybe it still is. I don't know. So all I'm saying is I think that first ah, and when Barbara made a very good point about where the fermatas are. The fermata's on the ah, on the A, the word ah at the note A, the first time, because it's like she's remembering the great time they had. I don't want to get too graphic here, but so it would be nice if it was a little bit more of a happier memory mixed in with all of the shame and all of the other stuff. The B section is faster. It has to go faster. Da 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 quell'invitato. And you could even, some people do that from what's the word, portamento up to d'ogni delizia mia. It almost goes into two there, really, like a real da 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 da. So I would love to hear that move a little bit more. And then the only other thing is I wrote the same thing that Barbara addressed at the end. Fermata is not on the A, it's on pia. So just make sure that you pay attention to that. But I think you did a terrific job. And I mean, I now know two mezzos that have kind of convinced me that this should be sung by a mezzo. So, and you're one of them. So thank you. It was really very well done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Okay. Can we go to the great John Packard?
Well. Okay. Well, you guys didn't leave much for me to say. That was really terrific. Really unbelievable. The one thing that I learned from doing veristic works was going back to the original interpreters, and always perfectly sung, but Gemma Bellincioni was the original interpreter of Santuzza, and there are several recordings of her singing it older and older and older. But if you get the closest to the premiere, I think is 1903. You get the sense that with her, that the words come first, much more than the music. The music is something that she is underneath all of her emotion. And yet it's another thing. When you're singing this, are you causing the music, or is the music causing you to have those emotions? So you have this introductory da da dum dum bum 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 bum. That's you, right? In the introduction, you have to almost feel like this is going to be really hard to say, and yet you have to say it, right? You know. And have you ever been around a Sicilian woman who has been dissed? Holy crap. I'm married to a Politan, that's bad enough. So with Gemma Bellincioni's interpretation, the first thing she says is "Voi lo sapete o mamma." You just get the feeling that it is more conversational, much like Barbara was saying. So you don't have to. We already have heard you sing a little bit already, and we know that your voice is beautiful. Now it's time to be an actress, right? Voi lo sapete o mamma. It's you know, and yeah. When you are singing the double D on Turidu, attempt to sing the second D on the same note as the high note, but let your voice go to the pitch. Turidu. It'll be a lot easier for you to sing that. It's a bear. If you sing Turidu, it doesn't get Italianate enough there.
John,
Barb.
I just thought of something about that turidu. I'm glad you mentioned that again. If you practice it, Shanley, like practice the E up, like turidu.
Yes.
Turidu. Do that like 5 or 6 times, and then turidu. Yeah, it'll kind of show you where it is. Turidu, right?
Kind of.
Yeah, the sound broke up, but you're really
It
only going to
did.
sing ooh on the bottom note.
Mm-hmm.
You'll get it. You'll get it. Great point, John.
Thank you. I also agree with the lamai, lamai. That is a sexual moment. There's just no doubt. No doubt. Causing the orchestra to play that big crashing chord. So don't be afraid when you go, lamai. That's one of those Italian sigh out, you know, that moment, you know, that we're talking about. And you cause that orchestra. You cause that orchestra just go, wow. So you have to, what are you thinking of now? You have this orchestral thing going on before you go into this next section. Quell'invidia. What do you sing? What are you thinking?
That we had this beautiful moment and somebody had to steal it from me. How dare you steal it from you? You had to steal my love when you already had a husband.
So how can you, okay, so how can you sing the next phrases pianist with energy? That energy. This is the woman scorned thing.
Yeah.
Da-da-da-da.
Maybe a little bit with the words. Be a little bit more like spitting them out. This woman, this just understanding that why she had to kind of portraying the nastiness that she feels towards Lola.
I think it's a moment where you have to throw away that you're a singer, right?
Yeah.
And you're an actress. And how would you say those words? Just say those words with intention. And you froze.
Okay.
So say those words with intention. Just try it right now.
Yeah.
Did you get that? Okay.
Wait. It's not invida.
Right.
Quell'invida. Everything that's in Italian, you sing the E. Quell'invida, quell'invida. Don't sing in. Sing the E vowel.
Again, is that what you asked?
Sorry?
You want me to try again?
Quelli. Just sing quelli. That's where you're going on that note, even though it's short. Quell'invida. Okay. It's John, you go ahead, take over.
I want to see that emotion in your eyes more than in your face. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
I want to see an intensity come into your eyes. Barbara does it automatically as soon as she starts to sing that line. It comes right out.
As soon as you get to this part, it's almost like you forget that Mama Lucia is there. And you're like, that son of a bitch. How dare she do this to me? You can't believe what she did. She took my life. She took my life. So it's almost like you're a snake. That's what I meant by saying it could be more snarly. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, John.
Yeah,
Wait,
this is
John, we need to work together.
No, this is the moment where you're the baritone. One last thing. Sometimes the high note is not the most important part of a phrase, right? So when you're on that high note that's not in the words the most important syllable, you have to figure out where that is actually going. Sometimes the high note is not the most important part of the phrase. And when you're on that high note, we need to feel that tug of where it's going. It's like you're not to, That's what I'm going for. All right.
Okay.
It's wonderful. I have nothing else really to say other than that it's really wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. No, this gives me a lot to work on with it.
Thank you, John.
Yep.
Absolutely. Shanley, I have to say, I am so happy that you're a part of Masterclass family. I'm not going out on a limb saying that you have a magnificent voice. It's absolutely an honor to hear you. And you see how many people took, I mean, micro things to tell you, because it's such an important thing. It's just going to take you soaring. I have no doubt in my mind that you will have a major career. The voice is just that you don't hear your voice anymore. Okay, and that's the shame of it. And unfortunately, in America, oh, what happened now? Unfortunately, in America, the problem is that they don't realize great singing because everybody's voice is in a box today. And I know that you will have a marvelous, marvelous career, especially in Europe. I can't wait to buy a ticket. That's all I can say. I am overwhelmed by your talent. And I am so happy that you came back to us for a second time, because this way anything that we can do, you can reach out to any of us. And you know, Barbara, this was Barbara's thing. I mean, so yeah. Absolutely. And you know, she can take you to that. And I'm not saying that Jennifer is not, I'm not saying that at all, but it's easier sometimes when somebody who's actually done that role. And you know, they give you the tricks of the trade. It's just, you know, I couldn't teach you about piano. So, you know, Hugh or Lisa or that's the difference. You know, they can give you that extra. So please, at any time, reach out anytime. We're here. So again, thank you, everybody. I got a voice lesson today, so I actually almost feel like singing, almost. So we can unmute. If everybody unmute, we can say our goodbyes, and then I'm going to talk to Shanley a bit. So
Okay.
Thank you again, guys. It was, I'm telling you, honestly, it was a voice lesson for me. So
Are you going to do the closing prayer now?
Yes, thank you, Hugh, as usual. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
John,
Yes, wait, hold on one second.
one little quick thing.
Go ahead.
One little quick thing.
Yeah.
You should check and see if that
Do right now.
and if you can't get it to go right, just use a phone, anything.
Yeah, no, you know what? I'm going to, if she has the internet, we're going to re-record everything. I'm going to just plug everything into one computer.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
that's a good idea.
Thank you, guys. I love you.
You're welcome, man.
Mwah, great job,
Love you
Shanley.
too.
Wonderful
Great
to hear
job,
you.
Shanley.
Bye.
Bye, Lisa.
Bye,
Bye, Barbara.
everybody. Bye,
Bye-bye.
John. Bye, Lisa.
Bye.
Bye, little.